Hi, I hope you're all keeping well today. My name's Christina Hughes. I'm a registered nutritional therapist with my practice called Founded Nutrition. You can find me online if you'd like any further information at foundednutrition.com. I wanted to come online today to offer you some practical recommendations or support around forming healthy habits during this time. It takes 21 days to form a new habit, so this could be some good downtime to embrace any habits that we might not usually have time to commit to. So starting off, eating a good breakfast. You might have heard the phrase, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. And if I could urge you just to adopt one of the recommendations, this would be my personal favourite for most people, as it can really impact our energy levels, our metabolism, and it can also help to balance our blood sugar and our hunger hormones. So we're less likely to give in to temptation to graze later on throughout the day. So when we say good breakfast, we're really talking about a protein-rich breakfast. So that's moving away from the sugary, starchy cereals, pastries, toast, and moving towards things like eggs, oats, or Greek yogurt with some nuts and seeds or fresh fruit if you have it. So experiment with some ideas there that are speedy enough that you might like to stick with when our mornings get a little bit busier. And I've also put some recipes online that are my personal favourites when I'm trying to get out the door quickly in the morning. So secondly, we can use this time to think about your coffee intake. So coffee can act as a stressor to the body, and it can impact cortisol, which is our stress hormone. So for people with a cortisol imbalance, it can elevate that stress level, which is ideally what we want to avoid doing. Especially coffee, while fasted in particular, can elevate those cortisol levels. So by all means, enjoy a coffee with your breakfast if you can tolerate it. 1 to 2 cups per day is what we would usually think of as tolerable for most people. And I'd really recommend trying to restrict your last cup of coffee to the day before 2 p.m. so that you can get the best quality of sleep possible. Sticking with hydration. Hydration is really important for every cell in your body, particularly for immune cells. So along with sleep, we really can't underestimate the importance of hydration at this time as being one of the most fundamental things that we can do to help maintain good health. So we're talking about trying to drink 2 to 3 litres of water a day. This might sound really simple and something you've all heard before, but it's a great time to try and commit to these really sustainable challenges and just see how you feel if you do drink that little bit more water than normal. I like to keep it varied, so I add lemon, lime, you can add some fresh herbs or fruit if you have it. And remember that for every cup of tea or coffee you have, every caffeinated beverage, you're going to want to have an extra glass of water afterwards to replace your hydration there. Number 4, I have mentioned when I talked about a healthy breakfast, was this notion of blood sugar regulation. So many clients that I see in my London clinic are on what we call a blood sugar roller coaster. And for many of us, we'd be familiar with this for dips in energy levels, the classic afternoon slump, for example. And it can also lead to other symptoms such as headaches, irritability between meals, and also things like PMS, for example, that we may not necessarily typically relate to blood sugar. So when I talk about blood sugar in clinic, the ideal goal is of course to reduce the amount of fast releasing carbohydrates in our diet, but I like to break that down so it can be a little bit simpler for people to achieve. So first and foremost, we've already looked at our breakfast substitutions. My second piece of advice to you will be to look at any snacks that you might be having, particularly as we're currently at home. So you want to move away from sugary snacks, things like biscuits, chocolates, cakes, and even the health food muesli type bars can be very rich in sugars, natural sugars or added sugars. So really what we're thinking is replacing it with healthier snacks. So fruit, for example, vegetable crudités with hummus, for example, if you have that. I personally love to have some hard-boiled eggs in the fridge. Nuts and seeds are a really great protein-rich snack. The last thing that I wanted to talk to you about was dinner time. And really what I wanted to mention here is it's not so much what we're eating as well as how we're eating. So typically when we're in our normal routine, a lot of us are so busy that we're rushing most of our meals, eating on the go, rushing our dinners as well, trying to multitask, but we're also eating too late, which can lead to impaired digestion, trouble with acid reflux, for example, if we're going to bed quite quickly after eating. So ideally, we want to sit down and enjoy our meals with our families potentially at this time, and be eating 2 to 3 hours before we go to bed. So that includes having your dinner a few hours before bed, but also trying not to snack the couple of hours before we go to bed. And people are often amazed how this can support the digestion. And when you go to bed having had your last meal a few hours prior, you can also just really focus your energy when you're sleeping on the repair and regeneration that the cells of your body needs, as opposed to simply just trying to digest your food. I wish you the very best of luck over a couple of weeks if you do decide to implement any of these challenges. I personally believe in the joy of food and the joy of eating, so I try and not restrict nutrition too much, and I think that's really important to remember, particularly over the next couple of weeks. If you do want any more information, or you would like some information around online consultations that are available, you can of course find me at foundednutrition.com and Founded Nutrition on Instagram as well. Take care. Bye.